Ubuntu's phone projects. Ubuntu Mobile. Good, that's good. You know that exists. Okay, so Firefox also has a mobile project. Everyone's kind of jumping in the game with this. And I'd like to mention why KDE Plasma is different. So it's not actually that different from Ubuntu Mobile, so we're going to skip them for a second. I think we'll actually do Ubuntu Mobile at the next meeting, next couple of meetings when I get that installed on there too, because that's fun to do. Have you heard of WebOS? Has anyone heard of that? Yes. Yay, WebOS. And so WebOS and Firefox OS are actually really similar. And they're kind of what a lot of people are doing, which is we can solve this mobile problem by shunting. By the way, we're recording, Pete.
Yes, we're recording.
Very good. We can solve the mobile device application development problem by using HTML. If you've ever used a HP WebOS tablet or their phones, they're slow. They're not horribly slow. I mean, I loved using it. The user interface was great and novel and all that, but it's not as fast as native. Native applications have kind of won. And Android is native. Well, Android is basically native because it's running on the JVM, running on the Dalvik variant of the JVM. And it's fast. Like, applications are relatively fast. So you only need a couple gigahertz processor to do things. KDE Plasma, KDE Plasma Active comes from the KDE community. KDE is a desktop environment that's existed since, someone help me out here. Forever. Let's go with forever. It's existed forever. Everyone sort of hated it when KDE 4.0 came out because KDE 4.0 introduced this, I believe, my KDE developer friend will probably kick me for getting this wrong because I did question her extensively about this before the meeting. Actually, I didn't, but I asked her a bunch of questions many, many months ago and kind of have notes. KDE 4, everyone hated, kind of like everyone hates Windows Mobile, Windows 8 and Metro and GNOME 3. But the difference is the KDE people have actually gone out and they've looked and they've thought an awful lot about how mobile should work. But they didn't start out with that. What they started doing is they needed a flexible desktop environment. So if someone has a KDE laptop that they would like to show later on, that would be cool because that will improve the one. So Plasma Active is a distribution of, KDE Plasma Active is a collection of KDE widgets, which are called plasmoids because they run on plasma, that are optimized to be run on a mobile device.
Say that name again?
Plasmoid.
Plasmoid.
Yes, the widgets in the KDE Plasma framework are called plasmoids. Plasma Active, by the way, is called active because it's meant to be the thing you use on the go. Like if KDE had a marketing department, maybe they do now. I mean, their community is pretty huge. They would have like some picturesque person holding a device running KDE Plasma, which, by the way, you can kind of see, not really yet, but you don't tend to. And they'd be doing something like this, because that's the impression they're trying to get, is that you can use it on the go. The reality of that we will see. The first thing is this is now locked. So I'm going to walk around. We're going to kind of do this interactively because there's no way to present it. So this is the lock screen, which I just unlocked. Let me bring it back. It's not too good at actually doing the lock screen. So when the screen comes back, there we go. So that's a lock screen. What I want you to do to unlock is, it has a couple things. You can sleep over there. There's those things, see a little lock guy down there? Apparently to unlock, you kind of take that guy and drag it all the way up. Maybe. Did it move? Oh yeah, and when it did that, I'm going to pass this around. So what it did when it did that, it hasn't unlocked yet, so I don't think we'll do this experiment again. Is it kind of messed, there's some graphics glitches there. So already there's still some problems. This is like a beta, by the way. It's a beta in itself, and it's a beta on this hardware. The last release for it was March, and it hasn't had another release since then. I don't think it'll get another release until the next version of KDE is released. Oh, look, it finally did it. So here's, we'll start with you guys, and you can, the screen looks like this. I'll show you some UI elements. How multi-process works is you drag this guy from here, and there's nothing else running right now, but there's just the desktop. But if you pull it down further, we're going to open up the terminal. You can zoom. I think it's open. So now we have a terminal, she's switching windows, it's very different than Android. As you pull that in, so you have the running apps over there, so you can take. Yeah, this little guy over here, which is a
That's
carousel,
what I know
that
about
early
it.
desktops.
Real early.
Which you can add others, we're gonna add others.
I was up early.
Check
I was up like
predefined themes,
Eight,
so you can
nine.
like tell them apart. I think I just like my stuff, I think I have to get the. I wanna try typing a really difficult keyboard.
Seeing how it's bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. So,
I'm glad I'm not trying to sell this product because it's kind of.
when I have a class somewhere, I can't really say sorry. I can't help you right now.
Oh, you're gonna try to make my thing buzz again?
No, it wasn't me.
Did it work? It's not nice.
System developer, software developer, maintain.
Oh, I think it is working now. Oh, yes, it worked.
For some people.
All right, so we'll move around over here. It's kind of slow for a fast tablet. So what we did, what I was showing him, is this is the main panel, kind of normal main panel, things like Wi-Fi, battery, indicator, and all that. And if we pull it down, first level, we get running, we get on.
No, they didn't call me that late. They called me at 12.
So the reason there's nothing there, so over there,
Said
we created a
not that late,
workspace.
not 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's like multiple desktops.
But,
Anyway, if you pull it over, this is the main workspace. Workspace is not just, is a collection of windows and stuff as well. So then, if we pull this down, even though everything's always full screen like on any mobile device, if you still have multiple windows, you can get it pretty quick. If you wanna start something else, you pull it down, there's your apps, there's slides this way. And there's actually hint, I don't think there's that hint there, so there's a page. Just start and a touch screen. But it has console, like KD and some of those. And there's the keyboard. The keyboard is kind of cool. It's semi-transparent. So you can always kind of see what's behind it, but also needs some kind of clearance.
What kind of device is it?
This is the Nexus 7. It normally runs Android, but it's such an open device that you can put experiment. Some other nifty things on the home screen.
Oh, is it?
Wi-Fi built in.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a,
What'd you pay for that?
I
I'll
think
wake
it's
up with
my
that.
knowledge. So you can get it for like 300. But you can get it for like on that.
I still like that.
And there's even more expensive version that has and I don't know how you okay, so get back to the home desktop, it's a little confusing because you think, this is actually the case in Android too, but the desktop is just an app. So to get back to the desktop, you just look at these little widgets here, if I hold on long enough, I think, or if I put the wrench. Some of these icons aren't resized enough to be touchable, but it's not called. But anyway, if you hold down on this long enough, there'll be some things going, you can move around. These are all plasmoids. So plasmoids, like, even in the terminal thing, the whole area where the terminal text go, I think that's also plasmoid. So all the UI elements kind of plug and play together like Lego. And even for different people can write their own widgets, their different processes in there. So you can actually build things together using other people's components. Which is kind of
Can you extend them?
yeah, it's all very object oriented and fancy. There's this other slide out screen, which is a custom one that has a list of recommendations. And so that makes up the UI element. So, sorry. I slid it out from the left, you're facing it. So there it is. So, it's been different. I haven't used them so much, but I believe it's been different. And I think that they've actually started off touch screen here.
To really do what they want to do.
See, now the thing is you run a KD on your desktop, right?
Yes.
So, and it's completely different. I mean, the user, you can see how it's the same widgets, because it's the same widgets, but it doesn't require touch screen, right? It's actually one of the things that people have said about KD Plasma, although it's not finished yet, of course. It's different than what Ubuntu is doing, is KD's like, you use different devices different ways. The underlying stuff that you use is the same, but the way that what do they call it, the language that you interface with, the interface language is different for different devices. So it'll be a different user interface on the tablet, on the phone, and on the desktop. You can see how different inputs. And
This is why they invented model view controller architecture.
yes, it's actually like, so KD is defining it's actually like a split view. The views actually split into pieces. So there's like a front view and a back view, and then the model and the controller. So it's like model, controller view, model view controller. But, or more like the view is parameterized with different input methods.
MVVU?
Same stuff, I'm gonna have to repeat myself, so you've already heard me, but, because it doesn't mean much if you just hear me talk. Well, alright, so, this is like the main desktop, and the top panel you pull down to get, Sam, have you seen this yet as well? So you pull down, this is a list of running windows, like applications that are running. It's just to show you the computer things. To actually start new programs, like application launcher, that's this. And there's a couple, there's like 2 pages of stuff that's installed on it, so.
That little tiny thing.
Yeah, on this little tiny, and this is much nicer device running Android, honestly, right now.
I'm sorry?
Hacker. This is normally running Android, like mobile phones are running nowadays, but
Okay.
it's mostly, this is mostly an interest developers and geeks that want to try something.
Okay.
So the other user interface things that it has is instead of just having, like, you can have ad. I think it actually calls it activity. So if you're doing something else, like you're going out and you're, just doesn't have a GPS thing, you have to say it had a GPS on it, you're traveling. And this was the stuff that you were writing a report on. So you needed to switch over to your set of stuff where you're writing. You could switch over, and each one has a different background. So you switch over to this one, and it's an entirely different set of programs. You can have a GPS thing running, and you can also have what else? Like you have some specific instructions for getting into your friend's house, like they're living in a community where you have to type the code. And you put that in a little text editor, so you have a pin-up note. So when you got there, you know how to get in, because you're going to get in late. That was actually a use case that my friend gave me from one of the sketches when she was designing some of these things. No, that's what not. So also over here is another custom panel. This is just a list of things they call recommendations, which is just an advice or reason in the system. But you can actually put your own stuff there. You could like put a note over there, or put your own application launchers over there. It's kind of advice. So there's 3 regions of the screen that have these kind of pull-out things, and they kind of look different, but the underlying stuff that's going to pull out is the same. So.
Not always.
So Pete, did you get to see what I was demonstrating?
Oh, no, I didn't know.
All right, so I can try to explain the activities metaphor. Activities are virtual desktops.
Pretty good.
Activities are virtual desktops, and you're meant to correspond with different things that you're doing. So, for instance, this could be, as I was explaining earlier, you're on your way to a friend's house. You can be running a GPS app. I don't think there's a GPS app for this yet. And you can have a notepad type thing open, instructions for getting in your friend's gate if it has a code or whatever you need. But you could also have been previous step. You could be working on your novel in this other workspace. And it's meant to switch pretty fast. It's obviously not optimized for this device. This is the other slide out panel, which doesn't really contain anything useful, which you could add stuff to. So, each of these little things are called plasmoid widgets, like these things on the desktop. I think I'm using that term right. And I just apparently did a gesture that opens up all the windows. That's pretty cool.
Where does you go?
So, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot else that it can do. It has a web browser, but I'm not sure that I can get it to connect to Wi-Fi.
And if you have a USB out, you could get in the projector somehow.
It doesn't have any video. The device physically doesn't have any USB out or any video out.
Oh.
If it did, that would be really cool.
What do you just get somebody's cell phone camera, data projector?
No, my cell phone doesn't have HDMI out.
Not yours.
No one, and I don't have an HDMI to VGA adapter either. Does your phone do VGA? I don't think it does. We have that HDMI that has.
This is
This
got one?
And the tripod. So you can just put the camera at it. And
Yeah,
stand up
so I can actually do that in front of the camera. I'm not sure the value of what I'm adding. What I was also going to get to now is how you get this installed on one of these.
Why would you ever want something that small?
A lot of people like it. I actually consider, it's bigger than my phone. Oh, you have like a 10-inch phone or 5-inch phone or something, right?
So I'm the dinosaur number, I'm sorry.
The reason, well, part of the reason I like, one of the times I've used this is with a little tiny keyboard, is sitting in an airplane with a little tray and being all hunched up, where I could pull out my laptop because there was no room. But I was able to pull this out
You
actually.
only pay for first class, so
I'm too cheap for that.
just saying.
Cheap or
Not
frugal?
be hunched up and
Frugal.
squished.
Frugal.
Frugal.
I also fly Southwest, and I do actually upgrade so that I get to journey, I get to board after the first 30 people or so. So I almost always get to see kind of where I want, which is usually a window seat, because I don't need to like get up during flight. I have to tell you about the people I sat next to on my trip after the camera's off. Oh, I can say on the way back, I was fantastic. There's a Buddhist temple in Austin, so there were like 5 Buddhist monks sitting very near me on the plane. I didn't know there was a Buddhist temple in Austin, so I just thought it was weird. Like, there's a bunch of people in saffron robes, kind of shaved heads, sitting on the airplane with me. What's going on? I didn't know there was a big population of Buddhists in
Fruit chant on plane.
it would have been cool, actually. But no, it was weird.
They would have gotten higher.
Because I've seen one Buddhist monk in the airport before, but I've never seen like more than one, so it was pretty weird.
There used to be one in Detroit somewhere, because they were always.
I think that was Hare Krishna in front
No,
of.
it was B'nai B'rith.
Was it? Oh, no, B'nai B'rith is Jewish.
Okay, I don't know. It was
Hare
the saffron
Krishna in
robe.
front of Hudson.
I haven't seen one. I don't know. I tried diligently not to come to Dallas County on a regular basis.
Oh, awesome, Andy, we'll do that.
Like for a meeting.
Okay, so
I live in Desert. They come. Never the point, John. I come regularly.
my first adventure of this, and I'm actually going to describe the process by which I came to install this on my device, because I think it's very elucidative. Like if you have a thing that you've heard someone doing and you want to know how you do it, and it's an open source project, these are kind of some useful debugging skills. My first experience was a friend of mine is used to develop for KDE and talked about plasmoids in her blog all the time, and I asked her some questions about it in the past. So I was always interested in KDE Plasma. Unfortunately, on my desktop, I run a really weird window manager that's controlled all by the keyboard, so I've never really had a chance to want to use KDE on the machine I actually use. I've installed it, but it's not for me. But I got this, when I bought this, I was aware that it could be easily unlocked and allow me to install anything I want on it, which is cool and liberating for like a tablet device. Because you get an iPad or something, and you can install a different version of iOS, but that's it. You can't. What? Yes, you can. You can downgrade. I know people that have. It's not easy, and you're probably violating a terms of service agreement with Apple.
If they're downgrading, they're using the jailbreaking stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, so I got this. What do I know? Starting out, we're gonna start out. So what do you know about this? You know that you can unlock the bootloader. How do you unlock the bootloader? How do you know how to unlock? Do you even know that you have to unlock the bootloader? I actually knew that, but you might not. So you have this device and you want to install something on it because you've heard that you can do that. So you start reading about it. And this is like some page, and it's like the thing. That's not very useful. So my actual use was, is there a wiki? There's a KDE wiki. Is that what we want? Yeah, look, it's KDE wiki and actually has active in the URL. So I went here. And, this is useful. So this is about Plasma Active. There's the Grandmaster plan. Here's what you need to know first, is how to filter out the stuff that you don't need to know about something that you're interested in the open source community. I don't need to know the Grandmaster plan. I don't actually want to develop for it right now. I might want to do that later, but I don't need to. Release notes. Don't need to know that. I don't care. I'm just playing around with this on the weekend. Installation. That's what we need. It's right down there, but it's still on one screen, on the same screen. So we'll go there. And that's an interesting thing. Once again, we quickly read through this and ignore everything we don't need. What do we have? We have a Nexus 7. What's this say? KDE Plasma for Nexus 7. This is great. Further down the rabbit hole, we notice that for detailed installation instructions, see the article on the Murr Wiki. Yes, a different wiki for a completely different wiki. Do we even know what Murr is? We don't even need to know what Murr is. So, what's our options? Installation choices. There's two ways to install it. Oh, you can leave Android on the device and install that. So that's great. So we want to do that. So we do that. And then it's pretty much following these instructions if we can read them. Here's the person saying where they got their information that's in this wiki page. All these links, we don't care about them right now. Doesn't matter. So what's it telling us to do? Download, modify TWB recovery, and type blah, blah, blah. So the first time we do that, we're going to follow their instructions. Hold on a second. I'm sabotaging myself so it'll actually happen the way it's happened. So the first step is we type the command. What command did they give us? And it's not mentioning here that you need to connect it. I'm going to assume a basic level that you would probably understand that you have to connect the device to your computer with its USB cable, but that may be something that it doesn't. But most likely you'll do what I did, because this is what I did. Okay, it's connected and it says running fast boot. There's no fast boot command. What's fast boot anyway? I knew it was related to Android. If you don't know enough about it, if you did know enough to know that it was related to Android, I'm not really sure how you get to this point. But so I found out about fast boot. Fast boot prerequisites, starting fast boot, factory binary. Somewhere along the line, I found that fast boot is part of the Android SDK. What? Yeah, part of ADB and all that. Which I actually had to install, but it's installed now, so. It's going to fail for another reason. So I guess if you didn't know you needed to connect it, this would probably be waiting for device. So what we ended up doing is I ended up connecting the device. I ended up downloading this image, which they told me to download here. So this image was just a file that I downloaded. It was pretty large actually. And you just flash that. And then it tells you to install this multi-ROM. And it tells you to reboot the recovery. And then you actually install KDE Plasma. And I don't really necessarily know, I actually know more details about this than I'm admitting, but the only information I really needed other than the Android SDK and plugging it in was to just run the commands that it tells me to run here. Or follow the instructions, which aren't actually commands, like reboot into TWRP. With that said, where do you need to go after this? Because obviously, this isn't very useful right now, right? If I actually